ALC crew, welcome to week 3. In this episode, we'll cover the following: class rules, your American flag art responses, localizing the discussion, this week's assignments, and this week's to-do. Full disclosure, it is a hot day today, no air conditioning, but at any rate, let's get started. Class rules. Over the past couple weeks, we have developed a set of class rules that will help shape a culture of equity, inclusivity, fairness, and productivity. Here are the class rules that you developed and voted for. Number 1, listen to the teacher. 2, give time to work on assignments during synchronous class. 3, respect the opinions of others. 4, adhere to deadlines. And 5, be on time. Wow, your written responses to our American flag art study were deep, detailed, and socially relevant. Here are some highlights from your peers. Tasia T wrote, "The flag is still showing the original colors of the American flag, but the artist has replaced the stars with corporations that are American idols. Disney, Coca-Cola, Apple, Eyewitness News, all these are gossip-filled, money-on-the-mind companies. Society values these more than actual states, actual cultures, actual people. I believe the artist is right. This flag represents America. I disagree with the colors and what those stand for because there's only justice for certain people in this country. But I feel the federal government cares more about money than the states themselves. They care about the drama, the gossip, the fame, the food, the money, instead of caring for our people. The mass media is taking over. We're starting to idolize these companies. People actually hate on people who have Androids over Apple. We rely on MTV and ABC News to tell us all the drama and what's going on, but with a biased opinion that the company wants them to say. How can we even trust the federal government when this is what they give money to? This flag is showing how America puts fame and money over the people. We would rather get caught up seeing what Trump tweets about than asking our neighbor how their day is." Joey K wrote, "The slide I'll be examining is number 22. It has all the stars or states in the bottom left corner, which signifies that they have fallen down or they aren't unified anymore as they used to be. I feel like our world has become a lot more out of touch in terms of appreciating life and just enjoying it. I feel like this flag shows that the world doesn't function as it used to. It may not necessarily be bad, but it is different. A couple things I see as noteworthy are that the stars have fallen, the red stripes have fallen, and there's a crowding on the bottom and blank space on the top to show a feeling of unbalance in America. I feel like the artist made these artistic choices because he or she has been witnessing, like the rest of us, what has been happening in our world as of late and expressed their feelings through this art piece. A connection to current events in America is all the kinds of injustice happening, including racism, violence, etc. As stated in the slide, America's flag is supposed to show justice, innocence, etc. But as of late, this just hasn't been the case. This work says that America is in need of rebuilding and stabilizing that so that it never falls again. We as a country need to put all of our differences aside and simply live our only life in peace and enjoy it." Haley H wrote, "The artwork I chose is by John Delk, and it's called Flag. The artist kept the flag the same, but he added red all over it and made the end of it a little ripped up. I believe the artist made these artistic choices because of everything going on in the news. America has been very violent lately. The red on the flag is blood to show all the violence that has been going on in America. What this piece of art is saying is that many parts of America haven't changed." Gabriella A wrote, "The flag I chose was The Flag is Bleeding by Faith Ringgold. The flag appears to show 3 people of different races linking arms, and the African-American man has a knife in his hand. The red stripes on the American flag seem to bleed through the flag. What does blood mean or represent? Blood can represent many things. It can mean sacrifice, disaster, etc. The artist chose these designs for the flag to show that America is falling apart. Over the summer, a man named George Floyd was killed by a Caucasian officer. This was everywhere on social media and the news. This will be in history books. Breonna Taylor was another victim who was murdered. Breonna Taylor still needs justice. A couple days ago, a man in Wisconsin was shot 7 or 8 times in front of his own children. How is that okay? A child should never have to witness that. White privilege is a thing. This is America. So what does the flag say about America? America needs change, for the better. Everyone needs to help one another, make peace, and love each other. Sticking together and fighting for change in a peaceful manner can help. America needs to change. Your response submissions have been graded and are viewable right here in Canvas. Excellent work overall. Keep up the good work." Whew. For the past week, we've been exploring our essential question, what does it mean to be American, generally? Now let's localize it, make it personal. Our next assignment will involve you and a statement. Now you'll find this to be a useful exercise in situations and life experiences way beyond just this class. Specifically, a situation in which you'll have to cogently communicate what you believe about something. It could happen in a job interview, an elevator conversation, during a family gathering with a best friend or partner, or when the opportunity presents itself to tell the world what you stand for. So here we'll develop a concrete statement that establishes your initial stance on the question, what does it mean to be American? First assignment, here it is. Compose a clear, comprehensive, and concrete 1 to 3 sentence statement that captures your perspective on what it means to be American. To give us some ideas of how to approach this question, let's first look at how some renowned individuals in this place we now call America have answered this question before. Toni Morrison said, "In this country, American means white. Everybody else has to hyphenate." Mark Twain said, "We are called the nation of inventors," and we are. We could still claim that title and wear its loftiest honors if we had stopped with the first thing we ever invented, which was human liberty. James Baldwin said, "I love America more than any other country in this world, and exactly for this reason, I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually." And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said, "I was born in a place where your zip code determines your destiny." These quotes will provide a good starting place for how you can develop your statement. As you begin formulating your response, think about your lived experience in America, more specifically, over the last few months. Our national conversations about health and safety, race and equity, leadership and education, work, social responsibility, and human rights have been at the forefront of our interactions with family, friends, and on social media. How has all this shaped you and those around you? Have the systems and institutions in America treated you and those around you fairly? How would you define what it means to be American to someone outside of America? As you develop your statement, be sure to include the following components. Focus. Here you should clearly establish the focus of your statement. In this case, America or Americanness. Consider starting your statement with one of the following phrases. To be American means, I believe that. We can equate Americanness to specificity. Here, be specific about what you think and why you think it. Consider using one of the following lenses: race, gender, social class, religious affiliation, sexual orientation, linguistic background, immigration status, or geographic location. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez offers a statement with compelling specificity. I was born in a place where your zip code determines your destiny. Clarity of language. Here you want to spend some time choosing your words carefully and crafting your message precisely. Consider using a strong active voice and descriptive language. For example, instead of writing "to be American means knowing America is not fair," consider Toni Morrison's statement. In this country, American means white. Everybody else has to hyphenate. As our class rule number 2 indicates, we'll have time during synchronous class to work on our statements. Remember to submit your statements via Canvas. To further localize this question of what it means to be American, let's think about our place in America. Place, community, neighborhood, school, our block. In many ways, our own smaller patch of America can be a reflection of the whole. For example, consider Nate Marshall's recently published poem about his hometown, Chicago. The following recording was originally published on NPR in a story by Scott Simon.
Capital city of the flyover, crown jewel of the jailhouse, a town in love with its own blood, a blood browned on its own history and funk, hometown of the riot and the riot gear, the gang and the loitering law, misfit blocks of dark-skinned cousins and thick-knuckled Slavic uncles who call each other their worst names. What this country know about a rust belt dipped in salt and vinegar and sold as marked up and rustic. My city is the city, not your close enough suburb not subject to the suppression of tape and the tapping of phones. How can you say anything about our blocks and schools and children that you refuse to see? Don't tell us what is wrong with all of our cousins you've never known. You do not govern what you do not love. When I say Chicago, I mean that first Haitian cat who could pronounce it right. When I say Chicago, I mean the stopped and frisked. I mean the euphemism of frisk. I mean the beat down and tight cuff. I mean the drop off in Bridgeport or Mount Greenwood. I mean the lessons taught to an uppity one. When I say Chicago, I mean the lake, and I mean all of it. I mean the candy lady at Rainbow, and the paleta men at Calumet, and the kids careening across the green at Montrose, and the jogger in midwinter daring a death for fitness. When I say Chicago, I mean Cabrini, and Stateway, and Ickes, and Ida, the city I'll tell my kids about in the past tense. I mean the rents that sometimes make me mean Georgia, or Indiana, or Dalton. When I say Chicago, I mean the restaurants with no chairs, just a window a bulletproof sneeze guard, I mean a Michelin star for all the ethnics slanging their seasoned meats and language. When I say Chicago, I mean my mama's house, that was my grandma's house. I mean the neighborhood, that was our neighborhood, because we said, we'll make a home here, and we'll stay.
Now here's your second assignment. Write a poem that details the community in which you live or grew up. Use Nate Marshall's poem When I Say Chicago as a reference. But what makes a good poem? Listen, great poetry is about capturing lived experience, honestly and authentically, and in a voice all your own. Great poetry also puts into practice tried and true rhetorical devices that intensify and emphasize that experience. Here are some rhetorical devices that Marshall uses that you may want to consider using in your poem. Stanza. This is an arrangement of lines in a poem. Typically, the lines use some sort of metric structure or rhyme scheme, but they don't have to. For example, in When I Say Chicago, Marshall groups his lines into 9 stanzas of varying length and freeform structure. Imagery refers to the specific word choices that activate the senses of the reader. For example, by using descriptive phrases like a blood browned on its own history and funk, blocks of dark-skinned cousins and thick-knuckled Slavic uncles, and a rust belt dipped in salt and vinegar and sold as marked up and rustic. Marshall provokes the reader to feel the Chicago that he is describing in sensory terms. Repetition is a deliberate repeating of certain words or phrases in a poem in order to emphasize a feeling, an idea, or create a sense of urgency. For example, Marshall repeats the phrase, "When I say Chicago," to emphasize the name of the city, Chicago, and the phrase, "I mean," to convey to the reader that there is this underlying story or landscape of Chicago that one can really only know if they've lived here. Also, when the speaker says, "When I say," and "I mean," the speaker is creating a spoken relationship between the speaker and the reader that is necessary in order to fully understand the city he describes. So where to begin? Think about your hometown, where you grew up, where you live now. You can start by just capturing ideas, sensations, memories of lived experiences that characterize that place. Then consider developing your poem in this handy graphic organizer. This will provide ample space to write, rework, and edit your poem. Then submit your finished poem via Canvas. Extra credit opportunity. If you'd like to earn an additional 5 points on top of your assessed score for this assignment, consider taking advantage of the spoken word option. What is this? Record yourself performing your When I Say poem using your mobile device recording app. You can record yourself using the Record Media feature in Canvas as well. We'll share these in our next class video. So what do I have to do? Good question. Here is this week's to-do. Number 1, to be American, a statement. And number 2, When I Say, a poem of place. These will both be due Friday, September 4th at 11:59 p.m. Well, that's it for this one, ALC crew. While I go find someplace cooler, you all make sure to stay safe, stay focused, and stay connected.